they will take away, they take off. I want to once more salute you all for, finding time to attend this media event, short notice. However, we all know why we are here. We are here because the battle we have been fighting together for months, for about 8 to 9 months. Most of us did not even see eye to eye. Some would quarrel on Facebook. Some would unfriend the other person. If it was a business of friending and unfriending. Fortunately for me, I am not the only person I unfriended. Appeared with, see, if you apply to me as a friend, because I believe in common humanity, we are all the same. A couple of days ago, somebody said there was an accident, Boko Haram bombed the university, and that the professor who died is a Yoruba man. I told him there's nothing like Yoruba man or a German. We all belong to common humanity. What is the color of the blood of the Yoruba man? It's red. And talking about common humanity, I believe also that every human being created by God, all of us are what? Equal. If we create artificial barriers on earth, that is for you. But in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the law, we are all equal. So I want to thank you for finding time. I know that so many people, even without invitation, have been itching to attend this ceremony. Some of them on their way. We just hope that they will meet us before we close. Now, in Bayelsa State, there has been a long-drawn war. Not war in the sense of people carrying guns to fight. But sometimes people try to assert themselves and tell the world that everybody on earth is fighting for good governance. Good governance in terms of accountability, in terms of telling the governor or the president or your local government chairman, tell us how you spent the money that accrued to your local government. In terms of transparency, show how you spent it. In terms of rule of law, show us the law backing the money you have spent. Have you spent it the way it is stated in the budget? So these are almost universal issues, not limited to Nigeria. We are all aware of what happened before the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was the culmination of years of brutal oppression, malgovernance, primitive accumulation on the part of those in power, and poverty on the part of those at the receiving end. In Bayelsa State, you all know that Bayelsa State has only 8 local governments. The population of the state is equally very small, perhaps bigger, slightly bigger than the federal capital territory. The state is also blessed. You see abundant resources in terms of crude oil, agricultural potentials, and so on. But over the past 4.5 years, people were disenchanted with the administration for 3 main reasons. One, they did not see how their money was spent. Although on paper, they told us Bayelsa was working. But on a closer scrutiny, to discover that the economy of the state was acutely hemorrhaging. You know the meaning of hemorrhage? Bleeding. The economy was bleeding. Some people were building material fortresses. Others were languishing in poverty and unemployment. Secondly, it got to a point where even the unemployed youths rose up, and we were told that the governor was stoned. That was a reaction. Now, after that ugly incident, a security outfit was formed from Mutangwe, and scores of youths were killed. By killing, I mean people who were extrajudicially murdered, people who were caught in their parents' homes, taken to the torture camps without making any statements. They were not taken to court. They were not interrogated by the police. Some were tortured, tied upside down. Some were shot. It got to a point where I was told the mortuary in Federal Medical Center could not contain the corpses any longer. So it was at that point bodies started missing in Bayelsa State. Cultism was enthroned even at the seat of power. The streets of Yenagua were turned into very fierce battles among contending courts. And with the stamp of, the official stamp of approval, such gangland wars seemed interminable. People could not watch. Those who could not rise up to fight, some prayed in their rooms. Those who could write wrote petitions against Famutangwe. Ultimately, God intervened and Famutangwe was abolished. The next thing that made Bayelsa so be very angry was the misuse of the resources at the disposal of government. Very specifically, in the month of July last year, the sum of 34 billion accrued to Bayelsa State. And we were told that the money will be used to execute projects. But these projects were not forthcoming. Even projects that were inherited by the then former governor were on the ongoing list, nearing completion for 4.5 years. It then became obvious that the people were being toyed with. It became obvious that people had to fight, even though violently, for a regime change. It then became obvious that until a change was made, the so-called leaders of tomorrow, our youths, their future, their destinies, will be at a high risk. So people started fighting. And today, God, through the instrumentality of some human beings, some powerful, some rich, some contributed money, spiritual leaders prayed, and you, all of us, fought this war. We fought a good fight. When His Excellency, I met His Excellency on Sunday, I told him, Your Excellency, sir, people fought this war for us. Most of those who fought the war fought it with the most dangerous weapon ever invented by man, the BlackBerry. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that all of us are like generals? Or perhaps you don't know. If you can scribble a line on your BlackBerry and send it to the net, you are playing the the role of a catalyst, a change agent in your generation. That is why most of the articles I've been writing for close to 2 decades or even 2.5 decades. In fact, I started writing before I went to higher school. Because I read the stories of great men who have changed their societies, not by brute force, but by the power of the pen. I understudied great revolutions. The Jacobin Revolution of France, the American Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, the revolution that occurred in Vietnam, and some other socialist countries, even in China, the one of Mao Zedong in 1949. And the conclusion I reached was that it is not my height that will make me to be powerful. I say height is not, I don't think it's an incapacity, because Hitler, the man who is perhaps the most popular and the most cruel man in history, was one of the shortest leaders in Europe. But what makes the difference, I said to myself, was the ideas you can sell to the world. The ideas you can sell to the world through either one-on-one contact, through face-to-face contact, or through letters, or through this networking we are doing on the social media. These ideas go a long way. Ladies and gentlemen, do you also know that any good suggestion you make at the level of the presidency, at the level of the governors, at the level of the local governments, all of them are hooked on Facebook. The only difference is that whereas you and I can come out and express our feelings, they will not, but they will be watching. They will be keeping track of what people are saying on the Facebook, on YouTube, on MySpace, on Google Plus, on very many other social media tools. They are watching. Do you also know that those recommendations and comments you make have always factored into policy making and implementation? They are. You will not know. You will not know. I did not know personally the impact I created in Bayelsa until we started posting our ideas on Facebook and sharing with like minds. So, we all seated here today are not just human beings with skills. We are not just people with capacities, but we are people God has created for this generation to create positive change. I told my governor, His Excellency, Governor Henry Siraki Dixon, now look, money is not everything. Now that these people have fought this battle for you, Rosemary fought, condemned injustice. Senator Nature was very, very vehement in pinpointing the truth. You carry Ogene. John, how many will I call? Opuarbo, my most respected Professor Hoke de Wilson, Andre Hiato, Keta Sema, my sister Tare, everybody was boiling that this thing has to change. If not for the pressure you mounted, the president would have been sleeping. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever victory you see in Bayelsa State, it's not just a victory of democracy. It's not just a triumph of good governance, but it is your own victory. It is your victory, Prince Crispus. It is a victory of the prince. Some of us, even money was paid that we should be eliminated. I I said I refuse to be what?